As Star Wars The Last Jedi quickly approaches, we have gotten huge updates on the plans of the First Order. Thanks to the new Star Wars Battlefront game, in an ending cinematic we get a glimpse into their mysterious plans. This helps very cautiously shed light onto Supreme Leader Snoke's plans in Episode 8. Of course, this is just speculation on the events that occurred at the end of Battlefront 2 and how it ties into The Last Jedi film. If you are worried about potential spoilers or theories, I would suggest you come back after watching the film. So what we will be briefly discussing is the ending scene in Battlefront 2, where they mention a secret agenda called Project Resurrection. So what is Project Resurrection, and how does it tie into the new film releasing next month? We'll be discussing this momentarily, so sit back, stay tuned, and as always, welcome to the Lore Lounge. At the end of Battlefront 2, we see a brief epilogue where Gleb is talking to Gideon Hask and mentions something called Project Resurrection. Upon the release of the game, fans on the internet have gone into great speculation on Project Resurrection. I'll be discussing what I think is the most likely interpretation of this plan. Some of the top conspiracies surrounding Project Resurrection revolve around actually bringing certain characters back to life, most notably Emperor Palpatine or Darth Vader. Now, I personally don't know how I feel about this, because as much as I would like to see this happen, I think it would ultimately cheapen the events that occurred in Return of the Jedi. However, we have seen many attempts in the old canon where Palpatine and Vader are brought back in various ways, but again, this isn't something that I personally believe they would be doing in this film. So what we know about Snoke so far from what Andy Serkis has said, as well as hints in the Battlefront 2 game, Snoke is possibly a very ancient Force user who has become very weak through time. He himself states that he has watched the rise and the fall of the Galactic Empire. Now, even if he isn't that old, we do know thanks to Andy Serkis that Snoke is very weak in the current timeline. Which brings me to my thoughts on one of the most compelling theories on Project Resurrection, but with a slight difference. Now, this theory deals with the potential idea that Snoke actually uses the device that we see in new pictures in the toy line to actually switch bodies with other Force users. The theory states that he sought out Kylo Ren and seduced him in the ways of the dark side to ultimately take his body for himself. However, with the events of The Force Awakens, we see Snoke shift his attention to Rey, as her natural ability with the Force is quite marvelous. Now, although I believe this theory is on the right track, I'm not entirely sure about the body snatching aspect. For me, it seems far more likely that Project Resurrection isn't about stealing the body of Force users, but the power contained within. Now this explains why Snoke was so keen on seeking out the map for Luke Skywalker. I believe that Snoke wanted to use the machine to possibly siphon the power from Luke to help restore his body and connection to the Force. Again, however, we see in one scene specifically in the new Last Jedi trailers, Snoke is saying to Rey, "Fulfill your destiny." Now, with the discovery of Rey, we see that Snoke has his eyes on another potential Force user, and through her power, he can once again resurrect himself to what he once was. Or in the case of the other theories, take Rey's body for himself. Now, the only problem that I could see with this theory is that would it be possible to heighten your own power by taking someone else's connection to the Force? And would it have any impact on one's own connection? Or is it simply a way for him to steal the powers as a way to restore his own weak body and his connection to the Force? Now again, this is just a theory, and we won't know for sure the purpose of the machine or Project Resurrection until the release of Star Wars The Last Jedi. But we do look forward to seeing how the Battlefront DLC ties into Episode 8 as we approach the initial release date. So now if you like this Star Wars lore and theory video, hit subscribe. Also, comment down below your thoughts on Project Resurrection, as well as what you'd like to see us talk about in future episodes. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time in the Lore Lounge.